You ready for a major statement? Under the hammer principle, here it is. Never let the situation mean more than the relationship. Never let the situation mean more than the relationship. Whenever I'm interacting with you or anyone else and I allow the situation to mean more than the relationship, almost always I will hurt the relationship. Now, let me explain to you the background of this, okay? When I wrote the book, Winning with People, I was interviewed in doing television and radio because whenever a new book comes out, they do a lot of kind of interviews. And somebody asked me, they said, John, if you wrote this relationship book, that must mean that you're really good with relationships. And I said, no, about half of the principles I wrote in the book, I learned them because I wasn't good at them. And this is a perfect example. The hammer principle, I didn't write the hammer principle because I've always been good at this. In fact, I wrote it because I was bad at it. For example, when Margaret and I first got married, I've shared with you, we've already been married for over 36 years. Thank you very much. That was very kind. I've got a people principle for you. Oh my. You know what the principle, this is in another book I have. I'm doing the Winning with People, and that's what I was teaching them, but now you've been so kind, you've got me off track. And I wrote another book, but it's okay. I wrote another book called 25 Ways to Win with People. That's people practices, things to do to make people, we have an expression in the United States that they make me feel like $1,000,000. And this is 25 people practices to make them feel like $1,000,000, and you just did one of them. So either you've read my book or you are just incredibly smart. Because one of my people practices, I have 25 things to do to make people feel good. One of mine is just what you did. And it's be the first to help. In other words, you saw I was getting low on water. And you said to yourself, the guy needs some more water. He never stops drinking while he speaks. So you went out and quietly came up here and interrupted me while I was speaking. No. And you brought me water. Now, you're the first to help. Now, can I tell you something about being the first to help? Let's just talk for a moment. The person that's the first to help you always stands out. Is that not true? Because they initiated the good service. And it's always kind of like a surprise because they were the first ones to step up. They were the first one to help you. Now what I'm saying to you is, he'll always kind of be special because he was the first one to bring water. Now, if all of you got up out of your seat and you all went out to get water and you all came and started piling water up on the stage, you understand? It's being the first to help. So see how you did that? You've helped me illustrate a principle. Do me a favor, stay in your seat from now on, would you? I'm just kidding. That's a perfect example of a people practice. Now, back to my lecture. And don't worry. Some of you melancholies, you say, boy, he kind of comes in and out. And, I hope he'll finish all these points he's laying out there. And, I see what time it is. And, I think he's behind. And, relax. Take a pill. You'll be all right. My name's John. I'm your friend. We'll get all this done. There's time. And in my lecture, I was talking about the fact that I didn't do the hammer principle. I violated the hammer. When Margaret and I were first married, to show you how foolish I was. But when we were first married, when you first get married, you're trying to get issues settled, so you have a lot of disagreements. In the States, we call them arguments. And you're, going back and forth. And to show you how stupid I was, as a young husband, I thought the goal was to win the argument. And because I'm good and I'm logical and I'm really good with words, and boy, I can sequence things, I would win all the arguments. First couple years of our married life, I won every argument, and not only did I win the argument, I would show you how stupid I was. I not only won the argument, but then I was proud that I won the argument. It was kind of like I won. I go, touchdown, yay, hey. And about 2 years into our marriage, my wife Margaret looked at me one day and said, John, let me tell you something. You're winning the arguments, but you're losing my love. I said, time out, Maxwell. Time out. That's when I discovered the hammer principle. Never use a hammer to swat a fly off of someone's forehead. Don't overreact. If somebody says something that maybe you didn't care for, just relax a little. Don't push back quite. Don't overreact. You'll escalate the problem. You'll allow the situation to mean more than the relationship. When Margaret and I had teenagers, when our 2 children were teenagers, we would have these times when as parents we'd have to have this parent-teenager meeting because teenagers just don't always do what you want them to do. So Margaret and I'd sit on the couch and we'd have Joel and Elizabeth and we'd start talking through these issues. And while we would do that, Margaret and I would sit on the couch and we'd hold hands. And the kids thought we were being romantic. We weren't being romantic. We were just practicing the hammer principle. Because as they would say things I didn't want to hear from my teenagers, I'd get closer to the end of the couch the whole time. And then I'd get in this crouching tiger position. And the heat would start to go. And Margaret would realize I was just about to say things I shouldn't say. And she would be just smiling, holding my hand, squeezing it as tight as she could. And she was saying, down, boy. She was saying, don't overreact. Don't let the situation become more important than the relationship. When people overreact in relationship issues, it is often a sign of immaturity. It's either a sign of immaturity or ego. It's an incredible principle to learn. Let me give you another principle. Another principle is what I call the pain principle. The pain principle says, hurting people hurt people and are easily hurt by people. Hurting people hurt people. And they are easily hurt by people. When I was a young leader, I sat down with an experienced leader one time, and the people that I were leading, I noticed that some of them, they had their feelings easily hurt, or they were hurting each other and saying things that were not nice. And I was watching them, and it began to bother me as a leader because I grew up in a very loving, kind of unconditionally loving home. And so I went to this experienced leader, and I said, why are my people doing this? And that's the day he taught me the pain principle. He said, John, hurting people hurt people. When you see somebody always hurting others, it's because they're hurting on the inside. And it caused me as a leader, when I saw people do these things, instead of just looking at their behavior, to go inside and say, I wonder what they're going through in their own life right now. You see, we judge others by their actions. We judge ourselves by our intentions. If Roger came up to me and shook my hand, and let's say that Roger didn't realize that I had a splinter in my hand. It had been in there now for a few hours, and the hand was becoming red, it was becoming infected, and it was becoming very sore. And you know what it's like if you have an infected hand or whatever, that if somebody just touches it, the tendency is to pull back. Isn't that true? So if Roger comes up, he doesn't know I have and he just gives me a normal handshake, and when he squeezes my splintered hand, my infected hand, I pull back from Roger. Roger looks at me and says, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't aim to squeeze your hand. Did I do it too hard? I mean, he's not wanting to hurt me. See, it's not Roger's problem. It's my problem. I have an infected hand. I have a splinter in it. Many people, when they overreact, have a splinter in their soul. And leaders understand and look beyond the behavior to the intention of people, because they see people not as they are. They see their people as they can become. All leaders have that ability. They see beyond their faults and their problems, and they see their potential. Because we've all had a bad day. Is that not true? Have you? Maybe not. But do you have, in Malaysia, do you have bad days? How many of you have ever had a bad day? Okay, good, good. Now, when I have a bad day, I'm always hoping that the people around me who see me on my bad day will overlook it and offer grace and forgiveness. It's called the high road principle. And the high road principle just basically says, don't give people what they deserve. Don't see them as they are. See them as they can become. Let me do one more people principle. One more people principle, and then I'll go to some practices that will help you win with people. Let me just give you one more people principle, and that is, it's the elevator principle. The elevator principle says some people lift you up, and some people bring you down. Isn't that true? Some people, they lift you up. Some people have the ability that when they're around you, they just make you feel good about yourself and they make you feel better. They lift you. Some people just lift you up, and some people, they just bring you down. Now, first of all, let's talk about those people who lift us up. These are people that encourage us. These are people that give us energy. When you see this person come towards you, you just become excited as they approach you, because you know they're going to say something nice, they're going to compliment you, they're going to affirm you, they're going to encourage you. They're on your side, and they know that you're going to lift them up. Let me ask you a question. How many of you have somebody in your life that just is an encouragement to you? They're what I call a people lifter. How many of you have somebody just like that? Oh, isn't it one? And don't you? Oh, isn't it fun? I mean, you just see them come and you say, oh, I feel better already. Oh, yes, I'm getting energy. Because they're givers, they're lifters. When you get on their elevator, no matter what floor you're on, when you push the button, they take you higher than where you were when you got on the elevator. They are lifters. And isn't it also true, there are some people, when you get on their elevator, they only have one button. You're good, aren't you? Mm-hmm. And the button is basement. Isn't this true? Come on now. Yeah. How many of you know somebody like this? Huh? Come on, talk to you. I call them leaners. They're lean on you. And you're having a bad day, and so you're thinking, well, I'll get on their elevator because it couldn't get any worse. Because you're already like in the basement, and you get in their elevator, and you realize they got another button. It says LB. Know what that stands for? Talk to me. Lower basement. You are the smartest crowd I've talked to for a long time. That's right. If you're in the basement, they can just bring you lower. And you know what I've noticed about these people that are like this? Their timing is impeccable. They know when you're low. Maybe you've been with people all day. You're so tired. You've seen people from morning. It's now 9:30 at night. And you love people, but you don't want to see people. You want to spend a little time alone, and you finally have left your last meeting, and you're in the parking lot, and you're going to your car. And your car is like an oasis. Because when you get to that car, you don't need to talk to anybody. You don't need to see anybody. For the next 30 minutes, you're not going to be around anybody. And the closer you get to your car, the better you feel, because you're going to get in that car and you're going to lock the doors and you're going to roll up the windows. And you're not going to have to say anything to anybody for the next half hour. And you just are about to open the car. Your hand is right here by the car handle. and you hear a voice right back there. And you know who it is. You don't need to turn around. It's one of those basement people. You don't even get in the car. You just lay your body across the car. Slay me, slay me, slay me. Ella Mae Wilcox said it this way: there's two kinds of people on earth today, just two kinds of people, no more I say, not the good and the bad, for it's well understood that the good are half bad and the bad are half good. No, there's two kinds of people on earth, I mean, the people who lift and the people who lean. Here's the question. As a leader, are you a lifter or are you a leaner? Do people look forward to you coming and approaching them because you're going to add energy to them? Or do you just basically walk around sucking life? Right out of people's body. You know what I'm talking about. And it's so difficult. When I run around, when I see people that are not good with people, especially people that are supposed to be in the people business, and they're not any good with people, I want to have them come on. I want to say, come over here, come here, come here, come over here. Sit down beside me. My name's John, and I'm your friend. And I just want you to know, people don't like you. It is so difficult to build a people business if you don't like people. Winning with people. 25 ways to understand other people. And then there was a book I wrote called 25 Ways to Win with People. Those are not people principles. Those are people practices. Let me give you two or three quickly. I already gave you one, didn't I? Be the first to help. Here we go. Let me give you another one, because this is huge. This will work, I guarantee you. If you really want to make people feel good about themselves, let them know that you need them. Let them know that you need them. There's something about letting a person know that you need them. Henry David Thoreau said a great statement. Henry David Thoreau said, the greatest compliment that was ever paid to me was when someone asked me what I thought and then attended my answer. Jim Collins is a friend of mine. He wrote Built to Last and then, of course, Good to Great. Tremendous books. He's a great author. Perhaps you've read some. Have you read some of his books? Jim Collins, Good to Great, huh? Built to Last, okay. In his Good to Great book, if you open it up, he's got a picture of his research team, because basically Jim writes books that help people because of the research that he does. And if you open his book, Good to Great, the first thing you do is you see his team, his research team. And we were having a 3-hour dinner about 6 months ago, and I said, Jim, I said, congratulations on the book. It's a great book. And I said, what I noticed was that you not only, when you open the book, first thing you have is a picture of your research team, and all of them there. But then on the next page, to make sure that we know how important they are, you thank them, and you have all their names so that we don't miss who helped you write this book. And I'll never forget his answer. He looked at me and said, John, he said, that's the most important part of the book, because they're the people who really helped me write the book. And I thought to myself, Jim Collins understands the principle and the practice that I'm teaching right now. Let people know that you need them. There's something that is very ego-satisfying about thinking and believing that people need you. Let me give you a classic example. If I was not in this seminar today and I was just kind of checking all of downtown of KL out, and let's say that I wanted to go to a certain place and I was lost. Do you know what I could do? I could stop and I could ask a stranger. I could say, could you help me? I'm lost. I'm looking for such and such a place. And do you know what I know about the people here in Malaysia? They would stop whatever they're doing and they would give me directions of how to get there. Is that not true? In fact, the other day when I was in Singapore, I wanted to go to a certain place, and I asked somebody in the hotel lobby, and the next thing I knew, they were taking me to it. I said, no, you don't have to take me to it. Just kind of point me to it. They said, no, you'll get confused. I'll take you to it. And they spent 5 minutes. They took me to it. They didn't even know me. Now, do you know why people will stop anything they're doing to give people directions? It's because they realize at that moment that they know something that the person asking direction doesn't know. And it's very fulfilling to help people when you know that they need your help. No matter what country, no matter what culture I'm in. If I'm asking for directions, people always will be quick to say, here's the way to do it, and they'll sit down and they'll give me directions. And what I have discovered is this, that if you're going to build a team around you, we'll talk about team building today. If you're going to build a team around you, you've got to let the team know that they are very important to you. You've got to let them know that you need them. You've got to let them know that you can't do it by yourself. You've got to let them know that you need their help. You've got to let them know that when you succeed, that it's because they helped you succeed. You've got to give them credit. Mark Twain said, it's amazing what can happen in an organization if the leader doesn't care who gets the credit. I have a wonderful mentor in the States. His name is John Wooden. John Wooden is the greatest college men basketball coach ever. He coached UCLA Bruins for many, many years, won 10 national championships, a record that will never be broken. He's now 94. I will get back to the States at the end of July after doing my speaking across the parts of Asia. And in August, I'll stay in San Diego and I'll write for that month another book. And I'll go up and I'll see John Wooden because he's my mentor. 94 years of age, still sharp, still got his mental, just an amazing, amazing person. In basketball, he was the coach that introduced clear back in the 1970s that if you go down and you have a play of where one of your teammates throws you a good pass, which allows you to get free to score a basket, it was John Wooden who said, when you're running back down the basketball floor to go to the opposite end, if somebody threw you a good pass that enabled you to score a basket, on the way back, he said, just point to them and nod to them and acknowledge them as the person who helped you score the basket. And when he was teaching this new concept of helping people know how important they are, one of the players said, but coach, what if when we're running down the floor, the player that threw the good pass to me, what if when I acknowledge him, he's not looking? And Coach Wooden said, he'll always be looking. If you really want to make people important, make them feel important by letting them know that you need them. Let me give you another people practice. One more. Every day, add value to others. Every day, add value to others. When I awakened this morning here in KL, and my wife and I were having breakfast, I said to her, I said, Margaret, this is going to be a great day for me. And she laughed knowingly because she's heard me say this hundreds of times. She said, yeah, it is, isn't it? And I know why. She said, it's going to be a great day for you because you're going to be able to spend a day with people that hopefully you can add value to. I want you to know, before I ever met you, you've already made my day. In fact, as I watched you come in today, I just kind of said a prayer and I said, dear God, help me because I want to add value to these people because they're already doing well and they want to be successful and they want to build businesses and they want to be better family members and community members. So help me to add value to people. Now let me just say this. You will always be successful in life and you will always be relationally strong with others if it is your heart to every day get up and add value to the people around you. My nephew Troy He and his brother Eric, my wife and I, Margaret, were almost his parents. His mother and dad divorced when they were very, very young, and so they really grew up a lot around us. And I helped him get through college, work on a business degree, and when he graduated from Eastern Kentucky University, we were living in San Diego at the time, and so I said, Troy, come on out and live with me, and let me help you get your career started off correctly. I'll never forget, he came out to live with us, and I said, let me help you find a job. And I had some good contacts with people that own companies, and he kind of wanted to get in the mortgage and the finance business, and so I knew several that owned companies there, and so he was hired by one of those companies. So the night before Troy went to his first day of work, I sat down with him. I said, Troy, are you excited about tomorrow? And he said, oh yeah, Uncle John, I'm really excited about tomorrow. It's my first day at work. And I said, Troy, I want to talk to you for 15 minutes tonight. And I'm going to share with you 3 things. And if you'll do these 3 things, I said, within 18 months, you'll be making $100,000.